Alright, so I'm back, and today we're going to be doing the viewer response for the my Hasbro Then and Now video I did last week. So I'm just going to scroll right through. CN Funny John says, what? RAD is unwatchable? It's decent, but not unwatchable. No, it's it's pretty unwatchable. I'm sorry. Oh, just watch Beast Wars or Beast Machines or hell, even Armada, and then watch some Prime, and then some G1, and then try and watch that shit. You won't make it through an episode. I barely made it through first like 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, nope, I'm done. Jeff Perrin, starting with Make Toys Conehead Seekers is a good call. I think so too. That's why I said it. How many MP Seekers have come out? Yet another one without the coronation set is just being re-released again. True. And not just Hasbro too. I mean, or not just the MP line. You know, we've got so many MP Seekers. Some people, I know, I've got a couple friends that are considering the Raptor Squadron is close enough to MP. And then there's also the Leader Class Seekers that some people are considered MP as well. Maybe not MP, but MP scale. And yet still no Coneheads. Yeah, the Raptors got the Coneheads, but still, I mean, one set out of 4. 3. Yeah, 3. Well, no, 4, because if you count Takara, and then you count Hasbro. And not to mention all the original Masterpiece Seekers that were out there a long time ago that never had Coneheads. The only people that actually made Conehead Seekers are iGear, and they folded, or whatever they did. Insecticons, where's Kickback already? Agreed. Where the hell? What the hell? Yeah, we got the Fall of Cybertron Kickback, but we never got the rest of the Fall of Cybertron Insecticons, which I really wanted. And then we get the other Insecticons in Legend scale, but no Kickback. And then we're going to get the repaints of those guys first before we get the other one, apparently. Third parties are kicking out all 3 at a time. Yes, they are. As much as I liked Titan Devi, where's Trypticon? Agreed. Where is Trypticon? You know what? As much as I would love to have a Titan class Trypticon, I'm surprised we never got a Metro Titan. I mean, come on, Hasbro, you're the king of repaints. Why not repaint it into Metro Titan? I would have bought that if I found it in a store. I wouldn't go out and be like, oh, I must find Metro Titan today. It'd be like, oh, hey, look, there he is. I guess I'll get him. But that's the collector in me. I see kids out today, either with tablets or smartphones more than with actual toys. That's true. Thing I noticed, several repaints, retools in G1. Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, Ironhide, and Ratchet, just to name a few we all know. Looking from a glance, my Cybertron collection is heavy in repaints, with very little to no retooling. Hence, looking at the new series of Combiner Wars. It's started out looking awesome. It did. It started out so awesome. But I too started to get that sour taste of repaint retool that character doesn't look like or combine. I'm picking up a couple of third parties here and there, but I'm probably going to go back to filling in the missing late G1 figures instead, like Micro Masters and Pretenders. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I wish they would. I wish. Sad thing is, Hasbro didn't come up with the Transformers idea. They bought someone else's idea and mass-produced it. Over time, they started creating their own. They should put a call or contest to bring these third-party guys to the table. You know what I would love to see? Because third-party companies, you know, they're stealing Hasbro's intellectual property on one hand, and most of us are fine with it. But at the end of the day, it'd be pretty awesome if Hasbro were to knock off a third party idea, like, instead of doing Titan Devastator, wouldn't it have been cool if they would have released their own Hercules, identical in every way, but TFC wouldn't be able to do shit about it because it's Hasbro's intellectual property. You can't they don't have copyright symbols on them or anything. I think that would have been hilarious. And I would have loved to see that. I would have bought it at Hasbro prices. Hell yeah. It probably would have been like $150 to $200. I'm okay with that. Anyway, say we want this figure to make. Show us what you got. Post something online in a poll. Only problem with that idea is that they'd be acknowledging the third party, and as of now, I mean, we all know that they know that they're there, but they're not really acknowledging it that much, and kind of just pretending it's not happening, which is kind of cool because they could shut them all down in a day, except for maybe Fans Project Make Toys because they do take a lot of their own liberties to them, but everybody else is screwed. Fans decide whose is on top. Hasbro buys the figure from said person and cuts them in on the profit. The other guys can still make the figures, but then they know where they sit on roughly how many to make, or to even make them. Pipe dream, throwing it out there. Yeah, like I said, I don't think that would work too well. But it would be cool if Hasbro just starts stealing their ideas. But that, I think if anything like that were to happen, somewhat like that, would be maybe if Takara were to buy out like Fans Toys. See, now that would be cool if instead of hiring a company, they just buy a company out. Like Takara buys out Fans Toys, let them use their factory, and just invest in them, and then they get a kickback from that. I think that'd be the better way to go, because then Hasbro has nothing to lose, aside from letting somebody else put their logos on figures. And how cool would that be to get a Fans Toys Dinobot with the logo typographed on, as opposed to having to go buy a repro label? I think that would be awesome. Because they're outsourcing to other companies, but they're telling them that, oh yeah, you can outsource it, but you can't paint it, or you can't transform, which is stupid. Seeing Funny John says, I sadly got 2 of those at Christmas. Why didn't anyone say, hey, we'll exchange it? I'm not sure what he's talking about. Sorry. Let's see. Pojo1975 says, do you think if it's let's just say any company made Transformers at a price line about the same as Hasbro and outsold them, and Hasbro is now even more of a shelf warmer than ever, that they can finally realize what they're doing wrong, or will they still be on top no matter what kind of crap they sell because of the name? They're going to be on top no matter what they sell because of the name. Because kids are still going to buy it, parents are still going to buy it for the kids. They're still going to be the movies. Because if they release a movie, they're going to have a jump on the figures that go with the movie. Same with the cartoon line. They're going to have a jump on it. Third party is going to take about a year or so to catch up. So Hasbro is going to always have the relevant factor. They're always going to be getting their figures in first. And if somebody does start outperforming it to a point where it is hurting their company, then they'll just make their phone call to the lawyers and shut them down. That's what they did to KO Toys, as far as I understand anyway. Which is still kind of pisses me off. Let's see. I know it costs more money to put diecast in figures like G1, but wouldn't it be nice that that 1 or 2 figures a year be mostly diecast? I know, John, you would buy them. It could be like a throwback to the 80s or even the Prime series that made them so much money and only make a few thousand of them. A few thousand have them numbered. Now that would be awesome. They would sell like hotcakes. I'm going to disagree with you because remember the Titan line? Or the Titanium line? That was shit. That's a big problem. You get a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing making Transformers, You can't make it all out of diecast. It just won't work. It would be awesome if they throw some diecast in some of their figures, but I think the closest we're going to get is the MP line. And only a few of those come out a year, but some of them are losing the diecast. But I agree. I would love to see some diecast figures here and there. It's not going to happen. Just as long as they are to guarantee that the figure will not be remade. Now that's what I consider collecting. That's where we're gonna have a problem, because Hasbro will say, yeah, we'll never remake this figure again, and then 2 years down the line they're gonna pop it out in just a slightly different color, just like all the other, like the third parties do. It's too early to see if they're really not gonna make any more of the classic Seeker mold. But every time they say, oh yeah, we're not gonna do this again, it always comes out down the line a little bit. I mean, it's just what Hasbro does. That's what they've always done, is repaint figures. So we might not get that exact figure, but we're going to get a bunch of repaints of it. And if we get an Optimus of that, then we're going to get an Ultra Magnus and then a Nemesis Prime, and it'll get to the point where it's like, yeah, we might only have the one Optimus, but we got 50 others. Anyway. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Too much, or have I lost my mind because Hasbro listens to the consumer on Star Wars on some things? Why not Transformers? Just a thought. Great rant. Sorry my question was so dragged out. I'm finished now. LOL. Now you could always rant as much as you want to on my rants. I don't care. I'm gonna read them. It sucks that they're catering so much more to the Star Wars fans. I know there's a lot of Star Wars fans, but I think they take their Transformers fans a little bit for granted. And I think partially because of that is the third party. Maybe they've got a little, maybe they're just a little irritated with us because we are buying the third party. We're spending more money on third party than we are on Hasbro. And they're sitting there like, hey, come on. That's not cool. Because there's not very many third party. I don't think there's any third party Star Wars figures out there. Only third party Transformers. They created the third party by not giving us what we want, but now they're just mad, or maybe they don't see Transformers as a profit, which is a huge problem, because Transformers can be the most profitable line. Imagine if they were to release all season 1 casts of the Autobots and Decepticons in 1 year in masterpiece quality, or a good Generations quality deluxes and Voyagers, and inappropriate scales. There are scales all over the board. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. I know we all have our own opinions of scales, but I think we could all agree that Hasbro has no fucking clue what scale is, because they're making figures out of their ass and just be like, oh yeah, we'll do a leader class Bumblebee. There's my biggest fight against people that say Hasbro knows what they're doing when it comes to scale, is leader class Bumblebee from the movies. Did we really need a leader class Bumblebee? No. Human Alliance? Yes. I agree to Human Alliance. Leader class Ironhide, when they downscaled the leader class? Alright. Okay, I'll forgive that one. But a leader class Bumblebee? No. No. I'm still amazed that we haven't gotten a Combiner Wars Bumblebee yet. Knock on wood. Seeing Funny John says, woo, he admits it. Beast Wars rule. Yes, they do. Matthias Morkabis. My biggest problem with Hasbro now is twofold. One, the plastic. I can hold a leader class Ultra Magnus and a new Devastator, to a lesser extent, up to any light source, and I can see right through them. Their plastic, yes, is getting a lot hollow and thin, but at the same time, it does feel pretty solid. Again, I don't think I have any combiner. Oh, here we go. It's like, yeah, he is a lot thinner and lighter than the old deluxes, but he feels just about as solid. So maybe they're using just better plastic and they're able to hollow them out to save a couple bucks. I could be wrong, maybe because I'm just not as rough on these figures as I could be, but I don't know. I don't know. 2, is Hasbro using rubbery plastic and telling us it's because of child safety laws, and everybody knows it's a fucking lie? I know sometimes it is, but like Dreadwing's face from Prime, no. Fuck you. Fuck you, Hasbro. Yeah, I snapped my Dreadwing's face off because I tried to rotate the head because the rubber is just glued onto the hard plastic. No. I can forgive maybe some missiles, maybe tail fins and stuff like that, but things like that, no, fuck you. Monkey Bubbles. I agree other than the Masterpiece line, which are technically Takara designs. Everything Hasbro is burning out currently is pure shit. As far as TF goes, I only collect G1, Beast Wars, Chug, Masterpiece, third party. Wow, you collect almost all of them except for Combiner Wars. I had to reread that. Why anyone would buy the Combiner Wars line is beyond me. Repaint after repaint after repaint and Defensors and Minosaur that look like something I threw up. It's like Hasbro just don't give a fuck anymore, and it's the same with the Star Wars Rebel figures back to 1970s, 1980s styles with just 5 points of articulation. Come on, Hasbro, what the fuck are you playing at? They're cheap. Get Loose 360. Spot on about the Generations line playing second fiddle in Hasbro's world. The problem with that is that the Generations is based on the source material that made the brand successful to begin with. G1. Plastic costs are one thing, but the hollowed out repaints and abused molds have gotten old fast. Beast Wars Transmetal, Armada, Energon, Animated, and Prime are some of the best toys Hasbro has ever made in terms of density, clever transformation. Hell, Universe classic toys are pretty damn good, and the chunk, and they're a chunk of chug. After Springer's, Sandstorm, Blitzwing, Hasbro has gone corporate and pretty much shit the bed. How are DX9 Warner Pocket figures better than Hasbro's Combiner line? Laughable. I'm not getting the reference there. Maybe I should rewatch my video. My only problem with the DX9 Warren Pocket scale is just size. I don't like the. I'm not in the collecting for legend scale figures. I mean, I want big chunky figures. But yeah. Blitzwing is another good example of rubber face. I mean, seriously, did they need to do that? No. Did they need to make the nose cone rubber? No. They could have made the tip of it rubber. That would have been okay. But no, not the whole nose cone and the face of the robot to the point where it starts smearing off. Gundam Tabasco says, "Man, I miss Beast Wars so much. And you are so right that those basic figures I remember buying, those left and right when I was younger. Oh, and all hail Beast Wars Megatron." Agreed. I hate that I have to spend an extra $60 to $80 to make my Combiner Wars figures look good. Great rant and keep up the good work. The true question you have to ask yourself before you spend an extra $60 to $80 to make them look good is it really going to help enough? Because I don't think it is. You might be better off buying a third-party figure. Yeah, they're more expensive, but in the end, it's going to look better on the shelf, and you're going to be more satisfied with it. Unless you go make toys, and then you sit there and you're like, I can't transform this piece of shit because it's too complicated. Come on, medium. Come on, let's find a medium, people. Actually, TFC is a great medium. They're a little bit more complicated or complex than Hasbro are now. Not Hasbro then, but solid plastic. And easy to transform, and they hold together pretty well. I say that's a pretty good medium. And right now is the perfect time to be wanting to get into TFC combiners, because I've seen the Hercules go for as low as $300. I got 2 sets for $150. Think about that. $150 for a TFC Hercules, or $150 for a Hasbro Devastator. Yeah, he's bigger, but he's also hollow. This thing probably weighs more, twice as much as he does. We'll get into a review war on that later. I've seen Superion go as low as $300. I've seen, I've seen their Defensor. I think I see him about 400 range. The Predaking was not selling at all, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's at 250 to 300 at some point. Yeah, it's a great time to be into those kind of collections because you're gonna get them and you're gonna get them cheap. I just wish GFC would finish the rest of the combiners instead of going off to whatever it is they're doing. Yeah. And thanks. Mander Bah. Yeah. The plastic quality now is definitely a disappointment. I don't miss the lights and sounds. I recently bought Hot Toys Diecast Robocop and will not put batteries in him. I had to clean the battery compartments of my RID Ultra Magnus because the batteries leaked. I'm having fun with the Combiner Wars. I enjoy that I have figures I can throw in my backpack and take around with me and not really have to be concerned about keeping those pristines because I know how much they cost. I, however, am getting burned out with the repaints. Again, you know, I know I've said this before. I'm not a fan of the repaints. I'm not a fan of the quality of the figures when it comes to the plastic. I'm not a fan of the way that overall looks on a lot of them. You know, Superion I thought was pretty good. Defensor was pretty solid. Not solid, hollow, but he looked pretty cool. Minosaur's is shit, but the bot mode's awesome on those things. But at the end of the day, I do have fun messing with it. I just got another Minosaur because I got it cheap for like $55. So I'm gonna open the box later. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's I'm not gonna sit there and be like, okay, I gotta track down Wild Rider and Slingshot. You know, if I can find them cheap, I will. If anybody's got them out there and want to trade for something, let me know. Sure, I got something I can trade for them. But if you got something like that, let me know. But you know, I'm not gonna go out of my way and be like, I must find these, and I'm gonna go spend the 70 or I think they're going for about $70 on eBay, and everybody's sold out. Big Bad Toy Store decided to jack up the price of Wild Rider up to $25, and it's like, I don't know about that. But yeah, I have fun with the figures. They're good toys. At the end of the day, they're still good toys. They're not good collectibles, but they're fun toys. And I'm actually starting to recollect all the Combiner Wars figures just so I can have some toys that I can pick up and mess with real quick and maybe do a little customizing bits on them. And then I'll have my Masterpiece line. This is actually meant for Masterpiece. I just don't have much right now because bills and life. But it's like, you know, eventually this is going to be all Masterpiece figures. And I want them to be on display. And then I'll grab these guys just to fuck around with. Aside from Sideswipe, Masterpiece Sideswipe. I'm going to play with that guy. He's awesome. Okay, anyway. Transformers 758. I think what's happening is Hasbro is releasing that toys are getting less and less popular. Or realizing that toys are getting less and less popular. And instead of upping their game, they've decided to get as much money out of it as possible using the least amount of money possible. That's probably pretty close to being accurate. I'm pretty sure that with like Star Wars Black line, they're doing full new molds for each figure, but they probably make their money back in spades on Star Wars. But I mean, they would make their money back on spades on Hasbro. I mean, look how fast the Combiner Wars Megatron sold out. Look how fast Quickslinger and Slingshot sold out. Come on, Hasbro. If you open up your fucking eyes and look at what the consumers are buying, you'll realize that you can make money by making maybe not as many figures. You know, just release a few here and there. I mean, it would be awesome if they were releasing tons, but I mean, you know, if you charge a little bit more, you know, I mean, with third party, us hardcore collectors, you know, with the third party out there, where we're spending upwards of $100 for a large deluxe, I think you could definitely get away with charging up to $50 for a deluxe, and we'd still buy it if it's a good representation of a character. I mean, if it's a spot-on deluxe of Ironhide, I'm buying it. I don't give a shit if it's $50 or $20. I'll buy it. I'm gonna buy the Masterpiece one. I'm gonna probably try and buy one of the other third-party ones too. Probably the TFC, not the other company, because they haven't made anything yet. So I'm kind of. I'm sick of that shit. I am sick of that shit. That's a different rant because that, some of those third-party companies, they just put out shit for their first release and they expect us all to be happy. Look at Bold Forms. Anyway. Let's see. And they won't stop until people realize that they're buying crap, and then they will quit the toy game, and I would love it if Takara took over the entire license and made every quality products, and made some quality products. I hate this attitude people have that third party is rubbish and Hasbro is perfect. A true consumer would base their decision on the product they like and has the best quality, not on some ridiculous company loyalty. I agree with that. You can't be a company loyalist at this point. You gotta play both fields. But some people are like that. Some people only want a Hasbro, and that's fine if they like Combiner Wars figures. But that's going to be about as good as you can get. Let's see here. I used to see ways to improve some figures Hasbro made, but now I see flaws in most of them. I want some Generations Warpath quality, or Reveal a Shield Jet Jazz, or Leader Jetfire. Looks higher quality than Leader Magnus. I don't mind if people generally like Combiner Wars, but I'm not okay with pretending everything's perfect and Hasbro hasn't gotten worse. I'm sure Vietnam was cheaper than Chinese factory. Let's see. Joseph Flanagan says the plastic on the Combiner Wars is criminal, and the hand-foot gun pit is too small for feet, too awkward for hands, and looks terrible as a gun. Now we have to swallow characters who never combined as combiners. And the combiners we all want, Computron, Predaking, etc., we can't have. We have to turn to third party to get them, and then they don't scale. My number one complaint is Devastator, who doesn't scale with anything. You can go with third party if you're using Combiner Wars. You can still go with third party, but stick with the Make Toys and Fans Project lines and the Unique Toys Predaking, and you'll be fine. They'll fill in all the gaps that you're missing with the exception of Abominus. I don't know what we're going to do about an Abominus because the Unique Toy one's almost as big as Warbatron, so he's probably better in scale with the Devastator than anything else. So that's my opinion there. If you're okay with Make Toys Computron and you get it in combine mode and just leave it. Don't transform it. Just get it in combine mode and put it down and walk away. Lionel Medina. Sometimes I wish I can go back to the good old days when Hasbro released good toys in the Chug and MP line. I remember when I was a little kid and saw an MP Grimlock on the shelf for only $60, and deluxes were not that expensive either. That wasn't too long ago. I remember before there was a Masterpiece line, and the first Masterpiece Optimus Prime that came out, I was like, oh my god! Especially since it came with the DVD. I sort of feel pressured into buying the new Combiner Wars figures because they're affordable and the only option I have right now. Even though the repaints are excessive, I'm only going to get the main G1 combiners. Skip the rest and go and get the good classics figures. I just feel bad for the kids who want to get into collecting Transformers, have to settle with these plain hollow figures and that Voyager Prime that looks like a cheap dollar store play school toy. The TF section in the toy aisles is pretty small too. Unlike back when they almost took up the whole aisle, I remember that, where they did take up an entire aisle. It's like, okay, Beast Wars. It's like, yes! And I go in there and just be like, oh. Which is funny because I actually don't have a sense of smell. But anyway, but I would definitely do that. Even though I couldn't smell anything, I was like, ah. and it would get to the point where it's like, yeah, I've got the whole line except for that one crappy fish bug. I guess I'll buy the fish bug. Let's see. Also, I had a question for you. All right. Question for me. What was your first Transformer, and when did you get it? Mine was Energon Hotshot, and I got it when I turned 10. I don't know. I've had Transformers my entire life. I can sit here and honestly tell you, he's over there, so I won't show him. But I have the G2 Hooligan. That was the first Transformer I bought with my money. I mowed lawns, and I rode my bike to the store, and I bought him by myself. And I rode back, and I was the happiest camper, and I played with that toy nonstop, and he is still in good condition. Except I'm missing his tail fins. If anybody's got a G2 Hooligan and they don't want it and it's got the tail fins, let me know. Or maybe we can work out a deal. Anyway, shameless plug. But I know, let's see, I know I had Rodimus Prime when I was a kid. I was still really young. And some kid in the block was moving away, so I gave him my Rodimus Prime, made him the happiest kid in the world, and then I cried. I had Fortress Maximus minus the head. We picked that up for $5 at a thrift store. That was cool. Really, really liked that. I had a black car. I don't know who that was, but I had a black car. I thought he was awesome. I had a G2 Starscream. And the G2 Scrapper and G2 Snarl? Yeah, Snarl. I think I had the GoBots Bug Bite. I'm not sure. But yeah, I had a lot of... I mean, I can't remember a day I didn't have a Transformer somewhere within arm's length of me. I mean... It was almost a currency for me in school, because it was just like, oh yeah, I'll trade this for this, and I'll trade this for this, and so it's like I had so many Transformers. It's really hard for me to say which one was my first Transformer, but the first one I bought with my own money, which meant more to me than anything else, was my G2 Hooligan. There was some stuff that my dad bought for me, and for the longest time they meant a lot to me. But after shit happened with that, I threw them all away. And to this day, I won't buy certain figures because it's like, nope. But that's another story that we're never going to get into. Okay, and last one, TFR GER PER. I don't know. Wait, wasn't the Beast Wars line made from Kenner? Okay, so yes, the first two or 3 years was Kenner. They did the first Beast Wars all the way up until the end of Transmetal line, around there, I think. And then they switched back to Hasbro. And basically what that was in the G2 line, Hasbro, the toys were selling so poorly, Hasbro gave it to their one of their sister companies, which was Kenner. Think of like Make Toys and Fans Project kind of relationship. They didn't really want, it's like, you know what, this line's dead, you guys do whatever you want to with it. And then all of a sudden, ooh, money, and then they took it back, and they kept it going for quite a while. But yeah, unfortunately, that's so I still I mean it still counts as Hasbro in my mind, because but I do think that's, the rumor is that they lost a lot of the basic molds, so they can't re-release certain figures. And I think that's probably wise, because they had a different company making them. And at the time, they probably weren't, Kenner probably wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. So they're just cranking out some molds, see what happens, just throw the molds, recycle them, whatever. And all of a sudden, hey, we're making money. So that's my opinion on the matter. Who knows if I'm right or not on that part, but that's how it happened. Is Kenner got it because Hasbro wasn't making any money. Hasbro took it back because they were making money, and then they shit all over the brand. Even back then, they because they a great example is Tiger Hawk. They made Hasbro made the cartoon creators to they told them that you have to put Tigerhawk into the show, and so they're like, okay, we'll put him in the show. So they found a way to put him in the show, and then they're like, oh, you know what? Never mind, kill him off. And it's like, well, it's way too late to just kill him off. So they killed him off, or take him out of the show. So they had to just kill him off in the next episode. That's why he's only in one full episode. It's kind of cameo in the second episode, and then at the end, beginning of the third episode he's in, he gets blown to pieces by the Nemesis. Anyway, that's it for the Rant of the Week. Comment below what you think, and I guess that's it.